Hey, howdy, hello. This is Tanya the tour guide, bringing you another episode of New Orleans Secret Myths. This evening, we're going to step inside of historical Metairie Cemetery and talk about the wandering statue of famous Madam of Storyville, Josie Arlington's tomb. If you've ever wandered through Metairie Cemetery after sunset, you know it doesn't feel like an ordinary cemetery. Unlike the crowded above-ground tombs of St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, Metairie feels like a city of marble. Wide avenues wind between elaborate mausoleums built by New Orleans' wealthiest families. Angels stand frozen in prayer, granite columns stretch toward the Louisiana sky, and every monument seems designed to tell the story of someone who refused to be forgotten. Yet among all these magnificent tombs, there is one that has captured imaginations for more than a century. Visitors stop, cameras come out, tour guides lower their voices, not because someone famous is buried there, but because many believe the woman guarding the tomb refuses to stay still. According to local legend, the bronze statue atop the former tomb of Storyville Madam Josie Arlington climbs down from her pedestal on moonlit nights. She walks the cemetery carrying an armful of flowers before quietly returning to her place before dawn. Others say the twin granite flames crowning the tomb suddenly ignite with a crimson glow every Valentine's Day. Whether you believe those stories or not, one thing is certain. The woman whose name became attached to this monument lived a life every bit as dramatic as the ghost stories that followed. Tonight, we're stepping back into New Orleans of gas lamps, jazz, hidden fortunes, and secret scandals to discover who Josie Arlington really was and why, more than 100 years after her death, her legend still refuses to fade. Before we can understand Josie Arlington, we first have to understand the city that created her. The New Orleans of the late 19th century was unlike anywhere else in America. Ships from Europe, the Caribbean, South America crowded the Mississippi River docks. Cotton, sugar, coffee, and spices flowed through the port. Wealth poured into the city, but so did crime, corruption, gambling, and prostitution. Vice had always existed here. French rule tolerated it. Spanish rule attempted to regulate it. American rule officially outlawed much of it, but quietly looked the other way. By the 1890s, city leaders faced an uncomfortable reality. Prostitution wasn't disappearing. It was spreading into respectable neighborhoods. Rather than eliminate it, they chose something that shocked the nation. They concentrated it. In 1897, New Orleans created a legally tolerated vice district that would become famous around the world, Storyville. Named after Alderman Sidney Story, the district covered several blocks near Basin Street in Iberville. Behind ornate facades were luxurious brothels, dance halls, saloons, gambling parlors, and music venues. The district drew businessmen, politicians, sailors, tourists, and wealthy visitors. It also became one of the places where early jazz flourished, with musicians like Jelly Roll Morton later recalling performances inside of its establishments. Storyville was glamorous from the outside. Inside, it was a world built on money, power, and complicated moral contradictions. And no woman would become more famous within its boundaries than Josie Arlington. Long before she became Josie Arlington, she was Mary Dubler. Born in New Orleans in 1864 during the final year of the Civil War, her early life remains surprisingly mysterious. Some accounts describe strict German immigrant parents whose rigid expectations pushed young Mary to run away. Others claimed she was orphaned as a child and raised in a convent. Historians cannot verify either story with certainty. What we do know is that while it's still a teenager, Mary encountered a man named Philip Lebrano, also known by the nickname Schwartz. He introduced her to the city's underworld. Whether by coercion, manipulation, economic necessity, or some combination of all three, Mary entered prostitution. For many young women of the era, choices were painfully limited. Without wealth, education, or powerful family connections, opportunity was scarce. Mary adapted. She quickly learned how the business worked. More importantly, she learned exactly who actually made the money. It wasn't always the women, it was the people who owned the houses, and Mary decided she would someday own them herself. There are moments in history when someone changes their name, and then there are moments when someone completely reinvents themselves. For Mary Dubler, the young woman who entered Philip Schwartz Lebrano's world as little more than another frightened teenager trying to survive, that transformation wasn't simply cosmetic. It was a resurrection. By the late 1880s, Mary had spent years watching the men around her. She watched politicians negotiate behind closed doors. She watched wealthy businessmen arrive in polished carriages while pretending to uphold public morality. She watched gamblers lose fortunes in a single evening. Most importantly, she watched who actually controlled the money. The women entertained the customers. The owners kept the profit. Mary had become one of Lebrano's most successful earners. But every dollar she made built someone else's empire. And Mary was paying attention. While the wealthy gentleman saw a beautiful young woman smiling across candlelit tables, Mary was studying bookkeeping. She watched inventory. She listened to the conversations between suppliers. She learned how liquor was purchased, how musicians were hired, how police officers were quietly paid, how politicians expected favors. She wasn't simply surviving. She was earning an education no business school could teach. Lebrano believed he owned her future. Mary quietly began planning one of her own. She also understood something many overlooked. Appearance was power. In New Orleans, reputation mattered almost as much as money. Mary Dubler was associated with scandal. She needed a new identity. According to tradition, she borrowed it from one of the most fashionable saloons, the Arlington. The name suggested refinement, luxury, elegance. It sounded respectable enough for wealthy gentlemen while remaining unforgettable. Mary Dubler disappeared. Josie Arlington stepped into the gaslight. The name itself became an advertisement. Customers remembered it, politicians recognized it, competitors feared it, and soon everyone in Storyville knew exactly who Josie Arlington was. Then tragedy struck. In 1890, Josie's brother Peter became involved in an altercation with Philip Lebrano. Accounts differ regarding exactly how the confrontation began, but what followed changed everything. Lebrano drew a pistol. Peter Dubler was shot and killed. Whatever personal relationship remained between Josie and Lebrano ended that day. Business had become blood. The man who had introduced her to the underworld had now murdered her own brother. Josie walked away forever. She would never again work beneath another owner's roof. If she was going to build an empire, it would belong to her alone. Leaving Lebrano wasn't simply an act of revenge. It was a declaration of independence. Storyville was expanding. Demand for luxury establishments had never been greater. Josie saw an opportunity others missed. Many houses catered to sailors and working-class visitors. Josie wanted something entirely different. She wanted elegance. She wanted exclusivity. She wanted the city's richest men. Soon, construction began on her masterpiece. Located in the heart of Storyville, on Basin Street, Josie's new establishment rose 4 stories into the New Orleans skyline. 16 beautifully furnished bedrooms, imported wallpapers, crystal chandeliers, velvet draperies, mahogany furniture, Persian rugs, marble fireplaces. Every detail projected sophistication. Guests weren't merely entering another brothel. They were entering one of the grandest private residences in Storyville. Its official name became the Chateau Lebrano d'Arlington. The title itself carried irony. She retained part of the Lebrano's name, but transformed it into something entirely her own. Many historians believed it reflected both business recognition and calculated marketing. Whatever the reason, everyone knew who truly ruled the establishment: Josie Arlington. Unlike many competitors, Josie carefully selected the women employed in her house. Contemporary accounts described them as educated, well-dressed, and able to converse comfortably with businessmen, politicians, and wealthy travelers. Conversation became part of the luxury. Music floated through the parlors, champagne chilled on silver trays. Fresh flowers decorated every room. Some evenings featured pianists. Others welcomed opera singers or string ensembles. Customers expected discretion. Josie demanded it. No loud disturbances, no drunken brawls, no public embarrassment. Her reputation depended upon refinement, and that reputation made her extraordinarily wealthy. Soon, her clientele included influential businessmen, lawyers, judges, politicians, and visitors from across America. Publicly, many condemned Storyville. Privately, many of the same men became regular customers. Josie understood hypocrisy better than almost everyone. She once joked that respectable New Orleans society would be shocked if the city's proper ladies knew just how many of their husbands visited her establishment. She wasn't simply being witty. She was revealing the contradiction at heart of New Orleans. Her fortune grew rapidly. Soon she purchased an elegant mansion at 2721 Esplanade Avenue. It was a remarkable achievement. Few women of her era accumulated wealth on such a scale. Fewer still controlled it entirely themselves. From the outside, the Esplanade mansion looked like any wealthy family's home. Inside, the woman newspapers ultimately described as infamous, wealthy, brilliant, dangerous, and impossible to ignore. Yet despite every success, high society continued closing its doors. Money could purchase beautiful homes. It could purchase expensive gowns. It could purchase influence. But respectability remained elusive. Josie had conquered Storyville. She still couldn't conquer New Orleans society. Eventually, Josie began thinking beyond life itself. If society wouldn't accept her while she lived, perhaps it would have no choice after she died. The city's elite rested in Metairie Cemetery. Originally established as an exclusive cemetery for New Orleans' wealthiest citizens, it featured elaborate family mausoleums built by architects from around the world. Walking its avenues resembled strolling through an outdoor museum. Greek temples, Roman columns, Egyptian obelisk, Italian marble, granite angels, every monument proclaimed prestige. Josie wanted to belong there. She purchased an expensive burial plot. Some accounts suggest she paid approximately $2,000 simply for the lot, the tremendous sum at a time. Then came the monument itself. Costing more than $5,000, it was commissioned from renowned New Orleans architect and sculptor Albert Weeblen, whose work still defines many of the city's most celebrated cemetery monuments. No expense was spared. Rich red granite, polished marble, bronze ornamentation, massive copper doors, twin stone flamings rise above the roofline, and finally, the feature visitors still stop to admire today: a bronze statue of a young woman carrying flowers while reaching toward the entrance. Who was she? No one knows for certain. Some believe she represented young Mary Dubler, forever seeking acceptance. Others claim she symbolized innocence standing outside one of Josie's famous establishments. Still others believe Josie simply admired a European sculpture and commissioned a version for herself. Whatever the original meaning, the statue would eventually become one of New Orleans' most famous ghost stories. Construction attracted attention throughout the city. Respectable families objected. Some complained that a Storyville madam had no business being buried inside New Orleans' most prominent citizens. Josie delighted in their outrage. She reportedly laughed that if the city's proper wives truly knew how many of their husbands had helped finance her monument, their protest would sound very different. It was classic Josie Arlington. Sharp, competent, fearless. The tomb wasn't merely a burial place. It was her final statement. If New Orleans refused to welcome her in life, it would spend eternity looking at her monument. Little did anyone realize that after her death, it would not simply be remembered for its beauty, it would become one of New Orleans' most enduring paranormal legends. Visitors would report mysterious lights, burning stone flames, ghostly knocking, and perhaps most famous of all, the bronze woman stepping down from her pedestal, wandering beneath the moon, before quietly returning to her place before dawn. Whether their stories are true, or whether they are simply the city's way of ensuring Josie Arlington would never be forgotten, is something we'll explore. For decades, Josie Arlington had built her life on reinvention. She transformed herself from Mary Dubler to one of the richest women in New Orleans. She owned one of Storyville's grandest establishments. She entertained governors, judges, businessmen, politicians, and millionaires. She built an elegant mansion on Esplanade Avenue. She commissioned one of the most extravagant monuments in Metairie Cemetery. She had purchased her immortality, or so she believed. But the human body cannot be bribed. Years of stress, illness, and advancing dementia slowly began taking their toll. Friends noticed the once commanding madam becoming increasingly forgetful. Her sharp wit occasionally gave way to confusion. The woman who once managed an empire room by room now struggled with everyday tasks. On February 14, 1914, Valentine's Day, Josie Arlington died. She was only 49 years old. The newspapers covered her death with the same mixture of fascination and judgment that had followed her throughout life. Some called her infamous, others called her brilliant. Almost everyone acknowledged one thing: she had changed Storyville forever. Her funeral drew curiosity from across New Orleans. Some mourners came because they genuinely respected her. Some came because they worked beside her. Some attended simply because they couldn't resist witnessing the burial of one of the city's most controversial women. Ironically, many of the city's most respectable citizens stayed away publicly, while quietly sending flowers anonymously. The same men who once visited her establishment under cover of darkness now feared being recognized in the daylight. Even in death, hypocrisy surrounded Josie Arlington. Her casket arrived at the magnificent tomb she had spent years planning. The bronze statue stood frozen beside the copper doors. The carved flames rose above the roofline. Everything looked exactly as she had imagined. Perhaps she believed she had finally forced New Orleans society to accept her. For one brief moment, it appears she had. No one realized her real story was only beginning. Death often reveals people's true character. Unfortunately, so does money. Josie left behind an enormous fortune. She also left behind longtime companion and business associate Tom Brady. No, not the football player. This Tom Brady had shared years of business with Josie. Many assumed he would carefully preserve everything she had built. Instead, within days, the situation became stranger. Only 1 week after Josie's death, Tom Brady married her niece. Anna Dubler. The speed of the marriage shocked many people. Rumors immediately spread that the relationship had begun long before Josie's death. Whether true or not, the timing fueled endless gossip through New Orleans. The newly married couple inherited enormous wealth, but unlike Josie, they lacked her discipline. Money disappeared quickly. Lavish spendings, poor investments, and extravagant lifestyles slowly consumed everything Josie had spent decades building. Her mansion changed hands, business interests evolved, accounts dwindled, the empire vanished almost as quickly as it had risen. Then came the unimaginable, the magnificent tomb itself. The monument Josie had commissioned to secure her place among New Orleans' elite had to be sold. Ownership transferred to the Morales family. Today, visitors entering Metairie Cemetery see the name J. A. Morales across the front. Yet nearly everyone still calls it Josie Arlington's tomb. History refused to forget who built it. But there remained one heartbreaking problem. Josie's body could no longer remain inside a tomb she no longer owned. Sometime after the sale, her remains were quietly removed. No elaborate procession, no public ceremony, no newspaper headlines. She was relocated elsewhere within Metairie Cemetery. Exactly where has never been publicly confirmed. Some say the location remains deliberately undisclosed. Others believe the records simply disappeared. Today, thousands of visitors photograph the tomb. Very few recognize Josie herself is no longer inside. Not long after Josie's burial, strange stories began spreading through New Orleans. Passers-by claimed they saw light glowing from inside the sealed tomb. At first, people dismissed the reports. Then more witnesses came forth. Soon, crowds gathered after sunset. They claimed the carved stone flames atop the monument glowed with an eerie reddish light. The effect became so convincing that newspapers discussed it. Curiosity turned into spectacle. Some believed Josie's spirit remained inside. Others suggested supernatural fire. Skeptics blamed reflected light from a nearby flashing beacon. Authorities eventually removed the beacon, hoping the stories would end. Instead, the legend simply evolved. To calm public fears, a Christian cross was carved into the rear of the monument. Whether symbolic, protective, or merely an attempt to reassure nervous citizens, no one knows. The lights eventually faded, but the ghost stories remained. Every Valentine's Day, visitors still arrived, hoping to witness something extraordinary. Then came another mystery. Caretakers reported hearing pounding, not random sounds, rhythmic, deliberate, knocking against the bronze doors. Some described it as someone trapped inside, trying desperately to get out. Others imagined something far sadder. Perhaps, they said, Josie was trying to get back in. After all, the tomb had belonged to her. She paid for every piece of marble, every bronze fitting, every carved flame, yet now another family's name stood above the entrance. If ghosts remember, perhaps resentment does too. Among all of Josie's legends, none is more famous than the wandering statue. The bronze woman standing before the tomb carries flowers. One hand reaches toward the door. Her posture suggests movement, as though she has arrived only moments too late. According to cemetery lore, sometime she continues walking. Two gravediggers, Anthony and Tompkins, claimed on separate occasions that they witnessed the impossible. Late at night, they saw the brown statue step down from her pedestal. She walked quietly beneath the oaks, moved above the tombs. Some accounts said she carried flowers. Others claimed she searched the cemetery. A few later versions add a lantern, its warm glow sweeping across marble pathways as though searching every name engraved in stone, searching for Josie. By dawn, the statue had returned to its place before anyone else arrived. Whether the story began as folklore, an exhausted worker's imagination, or something genuinely unexplained, the legend refuses to die. Ghost hunters later added another chapter near the 900 block of Esplanade Avenue, not far from Josie's former mansion. People occasionally report seeing a woman dressed entirely in black. She appeared briefly beneath gaslights, then slowly faded into the darkness. Residents shrug, tour guides smiling knowingly. Visitors look twice over their shoulders because in New Orleans, history and legend often occupy the same street. Perhaps that's why Josie Arlington continues captivating people more than a century after her death. Not because she was a madam, not because she became wealthy, not even because of the ghost stories. She represents something uniquely New Orleans, a woman rejected by respectable society, yet secretly supported by it. Condemned publicly, celebrated privately. She built a monument meant to outlive scandal. Ironically, it became famous not for its architecture, but for the legends it inspired. Whether the bronze woman truly walks beneath the moon, whether unseen hands still pound upon the forgotten doors, or whether every ghost story is simply New Orleans refusing to let one of its most fascinating women disappear, is something only the cemetery knows. So the next time you wander through Metairie Cemetery on a quiet evening, and you notice a bronze woman standing silently beside an old granite tomb, look carefully. If she's still there, perhaps you've arrived just in time. If she's gone, you may not be alone. Thank you for joining me on New Orleans Secret Myths. I'm Tanya the tour guide, giving you the haunted history, hidden legends, and remarkable lives that shape the Crescent City. Until next time, keep your lantern lit, because in New Orleans, the dead don't always stay where they're buried, and some stories never stop walking. Please, if you could, like, share, and subscribe. If you're visiting the city of New Orleans and would like to walk French Quarter streets with me, below is the link to book a tour. I will also include some links if you'd like to support the channel. You'll find this all in the description. Take care until next time. Sweet dreams.